I'm going to talk about, well, the road to crypto worldwide adoption, so what exactly is missing, in my opinion, what we could do, but from a wallet perspective. And I'm doing that from a wallet perspective because, because I am a co-founder at Ledger. Ledger is a manufacturer of hardware wallets, so we will get a little bit more into the talk about what hardware wallets are and how they are part of the wallet ecosystem. At Ledger, so aside from being a co-founder, I'm leading the innovation lab, which is testing new technologies that we could support in the years to come. So mostly focusing on layer 2s and, well, everything that could help scaling crypto adoption. I am an architect, so I try to design things, builder. I try to build things and reverse engineer. I try to understand how things are made. So usually I break them and I try to put them back better. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And I am helping keeping everything open and decentralized at Ledger, which is kind of a necessary skill because Ledger has been growing a lot lately. So if we look at the state of things today, first, what do we want to improve and what are the blocking points for crypto adoption? So I wanted to focus on Web3 because I think Web3 is interesting regarding adoption because a lot of new users who will be entering this ecosystem will be entering it through some kind of Web3, so either decentralized finance or NFTs or something else. And my own definition for Web3, so everybody can have his own. I mean, it's a bit like the cloud, it's a bit like IoT. But I would say that Web3 is a mix of having, a self-sovereign user. So the user is going to have his own key and going to sign with that. So a decentralized application, which is where all the logic is being run, and everything being connected by your web application. So you have kind of a front end that lets you interact between your signing keys and the application. So, that's where the web part comes from. So you have a web app in the middle. I wanted to take the wallet perspective in how to scale because we are the entry point to the ecosystem. When you are interacting with Web3, you are signing something. So even if you are not knowing that you are signing stuff, you are still interacting with your account, so it's important to take this, in my opinion, into perspective. And you could have many other perspectives with different focus regarding crypto adoption. So you could say, okay, I'm going to think about economical adoption, I'm going to think about something else, but I am keeping things straight from a wallet perspective in that small talk. So in order to scale, first we should ask, what do we want to keep and what do we want to change? Here, I would say the most important thing to keep is, of course, decentralization. And we want to avoid vendor lock-in at all costs when we are designing wallets. So vendor lock-in is a complicated concept to understand. So the most easiest way to understand it is if you look at something like Celsius, for example, which is completely custodial, then you see that you have vendor lock-in there because your money is stuck and you can't change it. But when looking at a wallet, vendor lock-in can be more subtle. For example, if your wallet has a very innovative method, let's say, for initializing the account, and you can't really use your account on another wallet, then you have vendor lock-in. You can't really switch from one wallet to another. So I haven't really seen that happening, in the space, because everybody is trying to use the 24 worlds model, when you are creating your wallet. But let's say that someone managed to do a completely revolutionary breakthrough in UX, which is not interoperable with other wallets, we would run into issues. And I said it's critical for users because you need to have your funds always available. So let's say the backend of your wallet is not working, you can switch to another wallet. And of course, if you are in a position which is crashing, you want to unwind your position rather than waiting for your wallet to work again. So that's critical for you. But that's also critical for wallet manufacturers. And I think sometimes people forget to think about that. But if you are locking the user funds, in the end, you end up being responsible for the funds somehow because, the users are stuck. And if your position is going to be worth a lot, they can get back to you and ask you to be compensated for the loss. So that's something you want to avoid when you are designing a wallet. And what do we want to improve? So we want to improve, I would say, pretty much everything else, because if you have been using Web3, you see that the user experience is not really good. And the scalability of using blockchains today, well, could be better as well, because usually you will be complaining about the speed of transactions when a lot of people are interacting with the same application, or the price of interacting with a blockchain. I mean, everybody has been complaining about Ethereum gas prices in the past few years. We have seen a few chains that try to solve this, but well, in the end, it's still not a good ecosystem from a user experience point of view. So things start, I would say, when you look at the weird user experience, it starts with the onboarding, as I mentioned, because when you are telling your users that you have to write down 24 words on paper to start entering the world of digital money, it's confusing. I mean, you are going to do something very new, very digital, but you have to write everything on a piece of paper. It doesn't really make sense. And you can do even worse. I mean, you can start writing your mnemonic on metal, for example. So well, it's a bit weird, I would say, the onboarding today. It's still critical from a security point of view because, as I said, if you want to be interoperable, if you want to be able to switch to another wallet, if you want to be able always to use your funds in all kinds of circumstances, we don't have something better than that at the moment. So if we look at other solutions, I'm saying wrong here because I think they are wrong. I mean, they might not be wrong when regarding people who designed them, but that's just my opinion on that. So of course, custodial solution will lead to vendor lock-in because you are not owning your funds. And if you think about other designs that have been done with some wallets, I mean, for example, MPCs that are going to cut the keys into different shares, I think that in the end, you are still putting the authorization, if you are still putting the authorization on your phone, you have an easy point to hack the wallet, because since the authorization will be done in a single point, hackers won't really care about the complexity of the cryptographic protocol, and they will just hack the authorization point. So in the end, you have designed something that's very nice from a user experience point of view, but isn't as solid as not using it. So that's why, in my opinion, you are often making compromises when you try to make the user experience better, and you shouldn't compromise the security. So I would say that this problem of onboarding hasn't been cracked yet, so we can think about, I don't know, I mean, maybe making the words easier to remember. There have been people thinking of words that could rhyme in different languages so that you could remember the 24 words yourself. So that's an approach which might not be the best, but at least it's super interoperable. You could think about secure and user customizable backups that could be done remotely. So, well, again, a few solutions have been a few people have been trying that. I'm not sure we have cracked the thing yet. And still thinking, if we start thinking about user experience, we could think about inheritance, because that's a problem that more and more people will have as you have crypto. How do you manage to pass your crypto on, I mean, after your death? And without compromising all the security of your setup. That, I would say that's pretty much an uncracked problem at the moment. And if you add decentralization in the mix, then it's even worse. So that's, well, a few things to think about, I mean, regarding the onboarding. And the nice part is that when you transact, things don't get better. Actually, they get worse. So if you see, for example, an interaction with a typical desktop wallet here, you are going to have a pop-up in the middle of the flow of your application, so you don't really understand what you have to do. You have to click something, but you don't understand what you have to click, because then you don't really know how to verify the address, because an address on a blockchain looks like a long string of hexadecimal characters. So what can you do with that? Sometimes you can verify on some EVMs, for example. You could have an ENS, you could have a name which looks a bit better, but still not a perfect solution. And then you don't understand at all what you are doing, because at best, the wallet will tell you, okay, I'm calling this function with this set of parameters. You are not sure what those parameters are doing. And when you take a loan, you should get an acknowledgement on your wallet that you are taking a loan. You shouldn't see, okay, I'm calling the supply money with this parameter to this dApp, because otherwise that's not the way we are going to get worldwide adoption if people don't understand what they are clicking on. Oops. Okay. So what can we do here to improve the user experience? Well, nice thing is that a few wallets have been trying. So as I said, we could have an ENS, so to display a name instead of an address, which is slightly better. We could have a high-level view of what a transaction is. I know that there is one wallet doing that called Rabi. Rabi is going to tell you, for example, after running a transaction, what is the state of your account after running it. So that's super nice. But this shouldn't be done, I mean, for a single wallet. I would say all wallets should be able to do that. And you should be able to also to implement it cross chains, which makes things even more complicated because everything here I am mentioning is running on EVM, so on the Ethereum chain. If you consider other chains, then, well, there is even more work to be done. So if you look at the wallet architecture today and what I can think about what they might be looking like in the future, you are looking at the wallet like a big box today where everything is put together. And let's see what could happen if we start thinking the wallet in different layers that we could put away, interoperate with, or maybe switch from one wallet to another. So here, you have at the center of the wallet, you have the rendering, which is what makes the wallet unique for this wallet. So the way you display transactions, the way you ask people to perform the transaction, and that's in my opinion, that's what really makes a difference when wallets are competing. The signing logic is pretty much what every wallet has to do. I mean, they need to be signing, so of course it should be secure, but that's pretty much standard. And then the chain connectivity is the part where the wallet is connecting to the network. So here's a few discussions you could have is, okay, do I want to run my own setup, for example, but there is not much to improve on this. And new parts we could see in the future, so again, as a suggestion, is this new component that I would call a risk engine, so which is something that would run when you are performing a transaction and display information about that transaction. That part should be, in my opinion, a common good. So that should be something that's developed as open source that many people can reuse, and that should provide scoring which is as valid and as decentralized as possible. So maybe this would involve more collaboration from the developer ecosystem, because in the end, when you are interacting with the dApp, the best people to know what the dApp is doing is the developer of the dApp. So the developer could maybe add metadata in the contract saying, okay, this field you can skip it when you provide information to the user, or this field should be displayed in that way. I can see standards maybe moving in that direction, but just as an opinion. And the portable signer would be typically what a hardware wallet is. So you abstract the signature part from the wallet, you put it in another box where you can focus on all the security and all the key management. So this is a good design in my opinion, even if you are designing a software wallet. Thinking in boxes like that and isolating your processes is good for reuse, and it's good to improve the wallet later. So an example of a portable signer is what we are doing. So a hardware wallet. Hardware wallet will be a dedicated device. Here, the thing we are building at Ledger is a hardware wallet running in a smart card. So smart card is a chip that you have in your pocket, I mean in your banking card, in your SIM card, and well, in your passport. We are running all the business logic in the smart card, which means that we are not getting into security issues because the card itself is connected to the screen and buttons here. So when we want to display something, we know that there is no malware that could interfere with what the device is doing. So the device is signing transaction. It's first displaying the transaction in a way which cannot be altered, and then signing the transaction. So this is an example of a portable signer, in my opinion. And well, then getting into another idea, because I'm coming from the telecom industry, and we have a saying in the telecom industry that is, we spoke about about plastic roaming. So plastic roaming is probably not going to be familiar to a lot of people, but that's the idea of, okay, you have your connectivity in your SIM card, and if you are not happy with your phone, you can just take your SIM card away and put it in another phone. And that way you are keeping your account, you are upgrading your phone, but you keep your environment. I mean, your phone stays customized because the SIM card is customizing it. And in the end, the wallet could be that kind of SIM card, I mean, for Web3. The wallet is something you could plug in your dApp, you could remove, you could just change wallets and change signers the same way. So we already do that with hardware wallets because you can use your hardware wallet with different wallet front ends, I would say. So you keep your keys, you just change the way you display the transactions, but we could generalize that to the application itself, I mean to the wallet itself, regarding how it's interacting with the dApp. Now, regarding how we could scale the network, so that was about the UX, but we'll see that it's a bit related. So there have been chains that have been specifically created for scaling that didn't really work, because if you design something for scaling but you don't have any application on it, or you don't have users transacting on it, well, it's not very popular. The most common approach today to scale, you have layer 2s. So layer 2s will be kind of a write cache for blockchain, so you are going to be more efficient to run transactions, or sharding. Sharding meaning that you are going to have kind of different realms and different zones to write your applications. And I think one interesting layer 2 is, well, Starknet that you have seen. So all zero knowledge, based rollups, and specifically Starknet because it's running with its own virtual machine, which lets you write things that are more interesting than what you can write with the EVM. So those are what are interesting technologies to explore regarding scaling in my opinion, and of course all wallets should be supporting them. Another great thing regarding the user interface that comes with some layer 2s, and especially Starknet. So Argent is already implementing a concept like this on Ethereum, but it's not standardized. So you could consider that your account is a contract, and in that case, you can have extra functionalities directly related to your account. So you could have, for example, a multi-signature wallet. You could have a second-factor authentication. But, well, you could think a bit further and say, okay, I can do the same thing with plugins. So I could have a plugin that I add in my wallet, and this plugin could add second factor for some transactions. It could add temporary keys, for example, for games, and that would improve the user experience tremendously, because if you have a temporary key for a game, for example, you would just run the authorization before starting the game, and then you would be on your way and not interacting with your wallet anymore and not going in the middle of things. And finally, we can have, when we think about scaling and adopting crypto for the world, we can think about, well, regulatory constraints. And since I am not a legal person, I'm going to invite Morgan on stage, so which can do the last slide for exactly 1 minute. Good luck.
Thank you, Nicolas. My name is Morgan. I'm a lawyer at Kramer Levin, and previously I was a legal counsel at Ledger. So we just wanted to talk a little bit in 1 minute of TFR, Transfer of Funds Regulation, which actually could be a constraint and block eventually the adoption of unhosted wallets. So transfer of funds regulation is the implementation of the travel rule in Europe. It's actually being negotiated at the European level. And this regulation has a lot of very good intentions. It intends to prevent money laundering and financing of terrorism in Europe. But the problem is that in the last version of the parliament that has been recently voted, there is this assumption that unhosted wallets could actually really help, could be a motor for money laundering, etc. And we just wanted to underline that actually non-hosted wallets are also used by the users to protect their funds. And it's the safest way for users actually on the blockchain to protect their funds. And it could be very damaging actually if certain provisions of the parliament version could pass, because there are very more stringent obligations for CASPs when interacting with unhosted wallets, and those stringent requirements could actually prevent the use and the interaction the transactions from CASPs to unhosted wallets. So this is something that Ledger really was actively involved in denouncing and trying to make this change. So sorry for this very messy presentation. It was a 1 minute thing, but keep posted, be involved in all those regulations that are being adopted right now, and so we will preserve our ecosystem.
Yeah, so thank you, Morgan. And I will just finish in 5 seconds saying, so you see, well, if we want to scale, we have a lot of issues to tackle. The biggest one is clearly UX. Scaling is also one, but regulation is around the corner. I would say UX is really at the center of everything. So if you're designing a wallet, try keeping in mind, what could happen to you and how to scale to millions of users. And thank you. If you want to reach to me, you have my Twitter account there. Thank you.